had to reposition the camera because the books were like slightly holding the camera up, right? And so if I look a little different, it's because I had to get the books down. So books that I read, like I said, I was reading and I was Googling everything when I first started, just because I was like, what is this feeling? And I need to know more. And so let me show you some of the things that I read. If you are trying to figure out where to start in this journey, these are like some great books on like where to start at. One book I read was The Shack. I don't have that here. It's The Shack, and it's also other books because I got them from the library, and that's free for $3 and free cents. So if I could have gotten the books from the library, I did, just so I wouldn't have to pay for them. But now I kind of wish I would have been able to keep them, just so I can kind of remember and know if I want to look back on them or reread. Like, you just don't know. But at that time, I was just so into like trying to find out things that I was trying to find what was the quickest way and the fastest way to get information in me, because I felt like I said, I was hungry. Like, I needed to know everything like ASAP. So The Shack was one I read, and I read The Shack because although I hadn't went to church in a while, I still kind of had that mindset. And so The Shack for me was a good transition into not necessarily believing in the old ways, but also to look at God and spirituality differently. Not necessarily like the way I see it now, but differently than my original or the old traditional mindset. So that was a good book to read. Also, I guess it's called Celestine. I don't know what it's called. Prophecy. I read it. Wonderful book. Wonderful book. So if you haven't, and I got this from half price bookstores. So like I said, I don't like, if I can't get it free, I'm gonna try to get it for like a very good price. I go to half price bookstores. There are like 3 in my area that I've been to. I go and get books from. One of my friends asked me, like, they said something about Barnes and Noble, and I was like, we have one of those? Where is that at? And he was like, so you don't read? And I'm thinking, yeah, I read. I just don't pay full price for a book. And so outside of Barnes & Noble, I also go to Amazon to get books. And so this is one. This is the must. I know, like, if you haven't, this is The Alchemist. If you have not read The Alchemist, you must read it. It's very good. It's so good. The Alchemist, basically, I'm not gonna tell you what it's about. You can read it. But basically it's about a little boy, not a little boy, but a male that was on a journey, and it was a good journey. So this, and you hear, this is a good book to help open you up to more spiritual like thinking. And so the next book, because I enjoyed the Celestine Prophecy so much, I bought the second one that says, it's called The 10th Insight, and that's not going to make sense unless you actually read the book. But it's basically things that you pick up on throughout life to help you in your journey. And then once you get to a certain point, you continue to evolve and you get to other places. So I didn't enjoy this one as much as the other one, but it was still good. It was still a good read. Oh, also another one. So this is Iyanla Vanzant, Tapping the Power Within. It says A Path to Self-Empowerment for Women. And this was really good too. It has some really good points in here that I like to refer back to at different times. I refer back to, I just turned to a page, it was talking about breathing. And as you know, on this journey, paying attention to your breath and taking that moment to breathe in, letting that prana in and letting out the bad air is very important. So yeah, she has a lot of things in here too. That's good. And I also read Communicating with the Divine. Now this book right here, yeah, I'm probably gonna say all the books are like this, but this one right here, but they all are like this though, right? It's like meditating. It took me to some places. it hopefully it'll take you to some places too. It's just meditating, and it took me to some places. I really enjoyed it, communicating with the divine. And it's basically about being connected to angels and God and opening up. That's what it's about. And so as I was doing all this researching, I came across Native American traditions and their culture. And as I was looking into shamanism, I was also trying to find out things about being a shaman and being a medicine man or medicine woman, all those type of things. And so these are some books that I got on being a shaman. This one is called Spirit Healing, Native American Magic and Medicine. And this one is The Wind is My Mother. One of these books was better than the other one. I don't remember which one, but they were both still pretty good. And my point of reading these books was really just to get knowledge. And I wanted knowledge on being a shaman, and I wanted knowledge on Native Americans and their culture and their beliefs and their thoughts, and why they did some of the things that they do. And one of the books I feel like talked a lot about more traditional American religion as opposed to Native American original tradition or belief system. And so I was looking for something that was traditional Native American belief system that didn't include any of the American belief system. And so one of them had that, but I don't remember which one because it's been a while since I read either one of these books. And so, like I said, I was just reading and Googling. I read so much. I also read about the Egyptians and their culture and their religion and their base. And I was reading about yin and the yang and Daoism and Taoism. And guys, like, I read so much that I got confused because my body was just like, feed me. I need information. I need to know. I just need. And I was reading a lot and I was looking up a lot, and all these type of things were popping up, and I would read that and it would lead me to somewhere else, and I got confused. That's what happened. I read so much. I took in so much information. I was looking at so many different types of things that I got confused and I didn't know what to do, and I just stopped. I stopped Googling, I stopped searching, I stopped trying, because honestly what happened is that once I became conscious, and you remember I told you I felt something within me, that feeling remained there with me, and that was my guide on as far as what I needed to learn and what felt right and what didn't feel right and what did not feel right. So in the first video I said that now I was in a state of knowing. When I first became conscious, that knowing came from the feeling within. And so that was my light. That was my guide. That is what I used to help me figure out, is this ideology, or is this thought right, or is this thought right? And so wherever that feeling took me is where I went. Because there was, like I said, I didn't know if I should believe stuff about being a shaman. Should I believe stuff about, the what is it called? The Egyptian type of thing? What religion should I be looking at? Should I be looking into Buddhism? Like, I didn't know, just because my mind was on overload, and only thing I had to go on was this knowing. And so at that point, because I had so much information, I feel like what is it called? My detector for being able to feel that knowing was overloaded, and it was like, yeah, we're gonna shut down for a while because you got too much going on. So that's kind of what happened. I kind of stopped doing everything for a long time. But even with me stopping, I think I just stopped the reading. I stopped reading all the books. I stopped Googling some of the main things that I was Googling, and I was just doing my meditating, and I was journaling. And if you don't journal, then you need to start like yesterday, because journaling and meditating go hand in hand. They're both a necessity for growing. They're both a necessity for figuring out yourself, figuring out what's going on, like for looking at patterns, looking at traits. And if you're like me, I've already spoke it. I'm gonna be a writer. I am an author, and all these things that I wrote down are gonna be useful and helpful in the book that I have already written, because I'm speaking it. I'm just speaking it, people. That it's gonna happen. So it's also gonna be a good reference for me when I go back and actually start writing the book. But other than that, it's really just healing. Meditation is healing, and journaling is healing as well. And that's what you're gonna use to connect with source as well. So do it, do it, do it, do it. That's why I hear people say it all the time, because it's very important. It's just as important as breathing and sleeping and eating and exercise. Do it. Also, and again, all of this happened in the beginning of me becoming conscious. So of course, at this time, as many of you know, this is also when I was going to sleep, waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, like almost every day on a regular basis. I'm having these lucid dreams. And also your dreams, make sure you have a dream journal for that as well. Put it by your bed. For me, I enjoy sleep so much that there were a couple of times where I woke up, found my paper, found the ink pen, closed one eye, and had the other one halfway open, light off, writing in the dark. And I'm just trying to write enough so I can remember all of the main points, but making sure that I get everything that I can remember at that time. Because once you wake up, you may not remember everything. So if you're able to write it, then when you wake up, like reread it, clarify it, add anything if you need to add anything, then try to get an understanding of what you're being told, because that is part of communicating with spirit. That's part of communicating with God, communicating with your higher self, communicating with source. That is communicating. And so the point of me talking about this was the dreaming and the waking up at 3 a.m. and waking up at 5 a.m. And there were times where I got woken up out of my sleep because they wanted me to Google, what is that, swastika or swastika? The sign that they use for, that Hitler used. I still to this day don't know why I was supposed to, but what I can tell you is that that symbol actually originated in India and was actually meant for something good. Google it and see. And I only Googled that one time when they woke me up out of my sleep to go and look that up, and I did, and I still remember. So although when you hear people say it, it is a symbol of something bad, but it originated in India, and it actually means something good, but people are not going to know that because that's not what they remember it as. So also, and there were other times that they woke me up too. And this is like in the beginning, and for me, when I first became conscious, everything was so connected. I was so alert. Like I was able to easily connect. Everything happened just so easily for me. And so when you become conscious, there are a lot of things that happen to you that are new and exciting, and you're like, this is beautiful. But even with that, even with all the beauty, there are still things that are not as pretty. I remember there were nights where I would be just so nauseous and nauseated, and I would feel like I needed to throw up, but nothing would come up. It wasn't anything that I ate, because this would happen for several days, not back to back, but just at different times. I would just be feeling nauseous, and I have no idea where it came from, and it was just odd. So I know that's one thing that happened during this process. I was also feeling extremely tired. I get home from work, I can't do anything but go and lay in the bed and then meditate. for some reason I had energy to meditate. I may not have had any energy to go and cook dinner or anything, but I had energy to meditate. So feeling overly emotional for some reason. I've always been an emotional person, but I was just overly emotional. I could be happy one minute, sad the next minute. I could be crying, then I could be angry. I was just all over the place. And now I realized that it was probably me being an empath like most of us are. It was just times 10 because it would just happen so quickly and so rapidly. And I didn't know what it was. I wasn't able to, at that time, I wasn't able to control it because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't even know the word empath at this time because I was more focused on reading these books and trying to find out what's going on. Thankfully, I had a friend who was already conscious, and he helped me through some of these things, and he was the one that told me about the empath, and he was the one that took me to a metaphysical store. And if you don't know what a metaphysical store is, it's a store that sells crystals. They sell incense. What else do they sell in there? They sell books related to spirituality. They basically everything that you would need for this type of journey here. You would go to a metaphysical store and find it. If you're still not sure what it is, you can just Google it. Whichever is the first store that pop up, go to their website and you can look and see what they have in the store. And so I went to the store, got some crystals, and started using the crystals and started meditating with the crystals. And then they had classes there that I would go, and I went and took some of the classes, and the classes helped introduce me to new words and new thoughts. And so from those thoughts, I started Googling things like being an empath and things like being Reiki, what is Reiki, and just different things like that. Aura, like what's an aura? I never paid attention to aura. And just knowing more about energy and what I was feeling and different things like that. So I'm thankful that my friend took me to those stores. So I'm glad about that because those things helped me out a great deal. And so I think that's the majority of what happened. There are a couple of things that I haven't told you yet, a couple of interesting things. I'll probably tell you in the next video, or at least one big interesting thing that I really would like to share. But yeah, I think that's it for now as far as like what happened to me before, like how I transitioned, and then what happened to me at the beginning of it. So we're on this journey. I told you, thank you for being here with me.